Всем привет! We continue working with the extended context for our cases, and today we are working with the genitive case.
If you like it, please click like. If it's useful, drop a line. If you love it, hit subscribe. Like me, подпишись и комментарий напиши.
Okay, so here's the chart, and today we're working with родительный падеж, or in English, genitive, родительный падеж. And again, we're going to be going through context and examples in Russian and in English, and I'm not going into verb or verb form since it's the topic for a different series of tutorial, and here we're only focusing on nouns, pronouns, adjectives, because they are the ones that have declensions and cases. Now, the very first context is already familiar to you because we had it on our basic context worksheet, and here it was expressed as possession with apostrophe S, except for someone's name or place. And I went into a lot of details explaining why we have this exception here, and I said later we'll remove it because you will know what I'm talking about. And here I already removed it. It's somebody's something. So if we look at the English examples, it will be, this is my mother, apostrophe S, car. He showed me his uncle, apostrophe S, book. He showed me his uncle's book. So here we have two nouns, and one noun shows possession of another noun, so of the second noun. And in English, whoever has the item, like my mother has the car, so it's my mother's car. His uncle has or wrote the book, so it's his uncle's book, goes before the item that they own or have or that's theirs. And in Russian, remember, genitive follows. So we basically are saying this is the car of my mother. He showed me the book of his uncle. So let's take a look at the Russian examples. Это машина моей мамы. Он показал мне книгу своего дяди. And again, genitive follows. Then the next context is comparisons without чем. Remember when we worked with nominative, we had comparisons with чем, we used nominative. For instance, твой дом больше, чем мой дом. Моя сестра красивее, чем эта актриса. So there we had nominative. While if we remove that чем, it will be a completely synonymous sentence in terms of content, but in terms of grammar, that second noun, the comparison, is going to be in genitive. So, for example, I'm older than you will be я старше тебя. If we use чем, it will be я старше, чем ты. He runs faster than his brother. Он бегает быстрее своего брата. Он бегает быстрее, чем его брат. Nominative. Without чем, we switch to genitive. My sister is cuter than this actress. Моя сестра красивее этой актрисы. So as you can see here, you always have then in comparisons, whether we work with nominative or here with genitive. In Russian, we might use чем, we might not. If we don't, we have to switch to genitive. Now, you might ask, why have these two constructions? I don't know, the language developed like that. It's very interesting that non-native speakers, those who learn Russian, usually tend to use the construction with чем more often because it's so much easier. You don't have to think about changing it into genitive. While Russians and overall native speakers, they're very pragmatic in their language use. So when they can, they tend to use shorter versions. Remember when we talked about dative and I said, yes, you can just say для plus genitive instead of using dative for, let's say, I'm buying my mom flowers. You can say я покупаю маме dative, or я покупаю для мамы. For plus genitive or для plus genitive. Russians will tend to use the shorter form. Same here. This form, comparisons without чем with genitive, are used more often than чем plus nominative. Okay, then the next context is also familiar to you. It's whoever has something. We had it here, whoever has something. We have to use u. Remember here I put the emphasis on the u, so you remember that whoever has something has this additional preposition in front of it, and it's genitive. Here I'm just gonna remind you that the logic is different. In sentences, I have a car, my father will have a new computer, my parents had an anniversary. Whoever have or had or will have something is the subject of a sentence in English, but in Russian, it is genitive, and that's why it's in bold here. So I have a car, I will be genitive, plus u. У меня есть машина. My father will have a new computer. У моего папы будет новый компьютер. My parents had an anniversary. У моих родителей был юбилей. And just to remind you that whatever we have, машина, новый компьютер, юбилей, are the subjects of the sentence here. Then remember when we looked at extended contexts for nominative last time, I told you, see, I'm saying whatever we have, and I stop there. While for something like whoever we like or don't like, whatever we need or don't need, I gave you both positive and negative. And I told you that I will explain it in the next video. So I'm explaining it now. Whatever we have is nominative. Whatever we don't have is genitive. So when I say I do have a car, that car is the subject of a sentence. When I say I do not have a car, there is no subject of a sentence at all, because both of these words will be in genitive. So here we have I don't have a car. Whatever I don't have, a car will be genitive. My father won't have a new computer. My father will still be genitive. I'm just not marking it here because it doesn't go with the specific context, but it's going to be whoever doesn't have something is genitive, and whatever we don't have, a new computer, is going to be genitive either. Also, my parents didn't have an anniversary. That would be my parents will be genitive because they are the ones who didn't have something, and whatever they didn't have, an anniversary, will be genitive. So let's take a look. Let me pull it up. So here we have у меня есть машина, у моего папы будет новый компьютер, у моих родителей был юбилей. So as you can see, машина, новый компьютер, юбилей are nominative. Here we have у меня нет машины, у моего папы не будет нового компьютера, у моих родителей не было юбилея. So remember in the previous video, we had a context for nominative where we had two subjects, two nominatives. I mean, I'm not explaining it in proper grammar terms, but I call it two nominatives, two subjects. Something is something, somebody is somebody. So here, the main thing to remember that in these constructions, we do have two nominatives. And here, when we have somebody who doesn't have something, we have no subject at all. We have both genitive forms, and that's why here you will see that the form of the verb switches to neutral. Especially you can see it in the past tense with не было, because when you do not have a subject, the verb doesn't know what to do, so it defaults to the neutral form. So that's why we say у моих родителей не было юбилея, не было юбилея. That's how we pronounce it. Okay, our next context, you're already familiar with that, and that's with numbers other than 1. We had it all here, so here I'm just basically giving you the same rule just to remind you that numbers that end in 2, 3, 4, except for 12, 13, 14, we use genitive singular. For example, два брата, три сестры, четыре яблока. So in English, you do have plural form after numbers, 2 brothers, 3 sisters, 4 apples. While in Russian, we use a singular form of genitive, like 2 of the brother, 3 of the sister, 4 of the apple. That's how we say it. Then with all other numbers, 0, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I put another 0, but it's the same 0, 11, 12, 13, 14, and again, 15, 16, 17, and so on, we use genitive plural. So here we have 5 братьев, 6 сестер, 12 яблок, 378 студентов. And here I have the English translation: 5 brothers, 6 sisters, 12 apples, 378 students. So with these numbers, we use genitive plural forms. We also use genitive plural forms after words много or мало, много, несколько, сколько. Мало means a little bit, a few. Много, a lot. Несколько, several. Сколько is in questions like how many. And here are some examples. Мало денег, много родственников, little money, many relatives, несколько студентов, several students. So with these words, we use genitive plural, but there are some exceptions. Some exceptions I'd suggest you just remember because we use them a lot. And that's the word человек. Let me put it here. So много человек, мало человек, несколько человек, сколько человек, many, few, several, how many people. Same with time, lots of time, little time, много времени, мало времени. Same with work, lots of work, or a little bit of work. У меня много работы. I'm swamped with work. I have a lot of work to complete. Because these are, so time and work are not really countable. And человек can be counted. And there is also a form where we use людей. But for now, let's not think about it. Just remember that if you want to say there were not that many people there, там было мало человек. Or how many people were there? Сколько человек там было? There were several people, несколько человек. And one more thing to remember, and it kind of goes in line with like времени and работа, when I said something that cannot be counted. So the words that are only used in singular are going to be also having genitive singular form with много, мало, несколько, сколько. For instance, the word счастье, happiness. It's not happinesses, right? Счастье is only used in singular. So if you can say lots of happiness, много счастья. Or words like картошка, which in English, it's plural, potatoes. While in Russian, it's singular. So if you want to say, oh, I ate lots of potatoes, я съела много картошки. So that would be, again, genitive singular because that word is just used in singular. Okay. Our next context is something that I think is very tricky to understand, but once you wrap your mind around it, it will, it will be fine. So exact dates when something happened on that specific date. So when in English you use on. For example, я родился, some guy says, 5 января 1982 года. I was born on the 5th of January, 1982. So in Russian, all of these 3 parts, the 5th, the, January, and the last full digit of the year will be in the genitive case. So here we have 5 января 1982 года. Now, this is a little bit too difficult for beginners. All I want you to know is to remember that with full dates, when something happened on that specific date, it will be genitive, 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 triple genitive, I call it. And again, this is like more intermediate, but it's still good to know because there's always questions about it, like why is it like that? Okay, then the next one is the rule that's officially called part of a whole. So when you have something and we only take like part of it, and usually it's quantity expressed with some kind of a measurement or a container. So let me show you English examples. So here we have a cup of tea, a bowl of soup, a bottle of water, a kilogram, like a pound, of meat, a liter, like a gallon, of milk. So here we have some kind of a measurement or a container of something else where, there's all the tea in the world, but there is just a cup of it. There's a whole pot of soup, but there is a bowl of it. Okay, so in the words that are not in bold, here there are in the nominative default case because it's kind of taken out of the context, but in the once you start saying sentences with it, the word чашка, тарелка, бутылка can be in other cases. For example, please give me that bottle of water. Whatever we give is accusative, so бутылка will change to бутылку. But of water, of soup, of tea will stay genitive. So let's take a look. A cup of tea чашка чая. A bowl of soup, тарелка супа. A bottle of water, бутылка воды. A kilogram of meat, килограмм мяса. A liter of milk, литр молока. Now, the next context is something similar because we use another noun to describe something. So, or in this case, define definitions expressed by another noun. And again, let me first show you the English translations. So here we have a Russian course, physics textbook, economics department, government building. And again, just like we saw with the apostrophe S genitive, genitive follows. While in English, that definition word is first. In Russian, it's genitive and it follows. So a Russian course is курс русского языка. Physics textbook is учебник физики. Economics department, факультет экономики. And physics and economics in Russian are singular nouns. Government building, здание правительства. So as you can see, genitive follows. And you can come up probably with more examples like that. And finally, but once again, there are more contexts for genitive. We're just focusing on these. Let me just... Okay, so here we have a bunch of prepositions. So let me just a lot of them. And I'm kind of very quickly going to go over them. And feel free to ask me questions in the comments if something is not clear. So I will go over them very quickly. So the first one is something we already know. У in the expression with to have something. Like у меня есть. У моего брата нет. So whoever has or doesn't have something, it's у plus genitive. Okay, and here we have a preposition без, which means without. For example, without me, без меня. Without the textbook, без учебника. Then the next one is для, which means for the benefit of. And again, remember how I gave you an example. I bought flowers for my mom. You can say я купила цветы для моей мамы. Then we already saw the preposition с with the instrumental case where it meant with, like in the company with somebody. But с is also used as the starting point in time. Oh, my kitten came to talk to you guys. Okay, so from some time, for example, from the morning. And then similarly, the preposition до, I don't know why it took him. All right, that's Momo. And there is a song coming up about Momo. Okay. I probably should cut it, but anyways. So до means until, meaning again until some time. And here we have с до, from until, like from the morning till the evening, from Monday till Friday. All of these will be followed by genitive, like с понедельника, from Monday, до пятницы till Friday. The next one is во время, which means during. So во время лекции, during the lecture. Then the next one is very interesting. It's кроме, which can mean except for somebody. What? Or in addition to or aside from. For example, everybody came to the party except for John. Все пришли на вечеринку, кроме Джона. Or I can say, aside from John, there was Mary at the party. Кроме Джона, на вечеринке еще была Mary, meaning John was there and also Mary was there. So it's a very interesting preposition. Okay, the next one is из-за, which means because of something negative, like из-за тебя, because of you, something bad happened. And okay, my kitten just misses me. Okay, so as I said, something negative, like because of you, something happened. Like из-за тебя, I had to stop my lesson right now. Okay, the next one is от, which also means because of something from, and usually it's used with because of a sickness or because of some emotion. Can be actually positive. I can say от радости, like from joy. I was so wild or something like that. Okay, and the next one is вместо, instead of. Вместо учебника я купила книжку. Instead of a textbook, I bought a book. So here I kind of gave these prepositions a little bit randomly, but here in this column, they're all going with locations and directions. And remember, we looked at locations and directions before, and we mostly looked at v, na plus accusative and prepositional, but there are different prepositions that can also express some other specific locations or directions. Okay. All right, little one, Momo. Mama's working. You want to say hi? And say hi? Yes, you want to say hi. Okay, so here they're kind of connected all to some locations and directions. So you already know U as something is right next to something. That's why we say, I have a car. It's basically, there is a car near me. Or U is also used at somebody's place. Sorry, it's not the best like setup on the, but at somebody's place. For example, how about we get together at your place tomorrow? That will be у plus ты in genitive, у тебя. Давай завтра соберемся у тебя. So like at your place. You already know that going to somebody's place is k plus dative, but to be at somebody's place, like at as location, it's u plus genitive. Is coming from a closed space. So whenever you use v with destination or location, where you're coming back from that place, that will be is библиотеки, from the library. Then whenever you use на with locations and destinations, when you're coming back from this event, you will be using с. Я иду на работу, на plus accusative, but я иду с работы. I'm coming back from work. С plus genitive. And when you're coming back from a person, so to the person will be k plus dative, but coming back from a person, it will be от plus genitive. Я еду от родителей. I'm coming back from my parents' place. And some more prepositions for you. Вокруг means around. Вокруг дома, like I ran around the house. Я обежал вокруг дома. Около, near or next to something. Около моего дома есть парк. Next to my house, there is a park. Далеко от plus genitive is far from something. Недалеко от, not far from something. For example, недалеко от библиотеки есть хороший ресторан. There is a good restaurant not far from the library. Then across from is напротив plus genitive, and along something like вдоль реки, along the river, вдоль реки, вдоль plus genitive, and among my students, среди моих студентов, blah, 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 blah. So that would be also, would use the genitive case. Okay, so I'll stop here. So as you know, today I had a little helper here, Momo. Его зовут Momo. Его зовут Momo. So for the next time, please add your sentences into comments. And again, try to experiment with Russian sentences, but put whatever word you think is or should be in genitive into caps letters and you get my feedback. For the next time, take a look at the context for dative and keep learning Russian. Пока-пока. Пока-пока.